Welcome to Lesson 4 of Unit 3, Make It Go. In this lesson, students will work to answer the question, what can we observe about a pull? In this lesson, students will explain what a pull is through demonstration, exploration, and illustration. They will figure out that a pull is a force that moves something toward your body, and a pull is another way that a toy can be moved. In the Engage, start by reminding students of the push activities they completed in the previous lesson. Have them demonstrate what a push is. A push moves an object away from you. Read the book Sheep in a Jeep, referring to the Read Aloud guide on teacher page 10. As you read, have students show a pushing motion with their hands when there is a push in the book. Recall vocabulary words learned, push and force, using turn and talks and share outs. In the Explore, show students the new toys, sled, wagon, and silly putty. Tell the class that today we have some different items in our bag to explore. Ask if they can guess what they are or how they work. Pass out these objects, and possibly include some of the toys from the previous lesson as well. Give students time to move the toys, and ask them to describe the ways they moved them. Ask them how the toys work. How do they move the toys from their partner to themselves? After students demonstrate with each other, have a class discussion to talk about how each of the objects moved. Students should note that they still used a force to move the objects, but when they moved the object toward their bodies, they were not pushing. In the Explain, ask students to describe the different ways they moved the toys. Listen for and add words like pull, tug, draw towards, attract, etc. Record these new movements on the chart from the previous lesson titled How Things Move. Reread pages 4 through 5 and 8 through 11 of the book Give It a Push, Give It a Pull from Lesson 3. Asking students, what is a pull? Have them turn and talk and then share out their thoughts. Explain to them that if you move an object towards you, it is called a pull. A pull is opposite of a push. A pull is a force used to move an object towards oneself. Then read this book, The Enormous Turnip. There is a read aloud guide for this book shown here on teacher page 11. Ask the students to make a pulling motion every time they hear the word pull. This story would also be ideal for students to act out in front of the class. After the story, ask students to identify other situations where a pull is necessary. Have them turn and talk and then share a few answers to the whole class. Examples include helping pull someone up to a higher location, pulling out weeds, playing tug of war. Then re-show the video Malcolm Primaries Push and Pull in Reception on mute. Have students indicate when they observe the children in the video making a pull by putting their hand on their head. In the Elaborate, review the ways the students used pushes and pulls when exploring the toys. For example, they pulled apart the egg to get the silly putty. They pulled the wagon toward themselves. They pushed the stroller toward their partner. Ask students if there is any way that they could move one of the toys without touching it. Then pass out magnets, feathers, and string to each group. Have the students experiment with these objects, trying to use the magnets, strings, and feathers to get the toys to move without touching them. They can try to see if the toys are magnetic. They could try tying a string to an object and pulling it, or they can try to fan the feather to get an object to roll. Then direct students to complete Student Journal page 7 shown here, How Things Move. A teacher key is also provided on teacher page 12. As students may not have the exact same results, it may be helpful to circulate so that they can provide evidence and reasoning for their answer choices. Next, direct them to Student Journal page 8, Pull Activity Sheet, shown here, to circle or color pictures that show a pull. Students may need some support determining what's happening in each picture. Teacher support is provided on teacher page 13. In the Evaluate, return to the Push-Pull cards from Lesson 3 and have students identify which cards show a pull. Hold up each card and have the students say either push or pull. Students can also explain how they know that the movement on the card is a pull. As an assessment, ask students to verbally communicate how to pull an object. This could be completed in small groups. The cards that show pulls include a girl pulling a wagon, a boy doing chin-ups, a horse pulling a wagon, and a woman pulling weeds. Direct students to Student Journal page 9 shown here, Push, Pull, Model, where they should draw a picture of a push and a pull. They can also write or dictate how this drawing shows a push or a pull. A key is provided here on Teacher page 14. By the end of this lesson, students will identify that objects can be pulled and moved towards them. They will also identify that a push is the opposite of a pull.